Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for Fantasy Premier League content for the 2021-22 season. My name is Dan and today we are doing a Game Week 37 video all about the Double Game Week teams and their players. We're going to try and look at all of the teams that have a Double Game Week in 37 and try and identify which players we want to go for from each of those teams. What do we think of the fixtures, etc, etc, etc. So hopefully, if you are looking to pick up some doubling players, this is the video you need to watch today. This is going to help you out a lot. And if you do enjoy this video, if you do find it helpful, please do leave a like on it. It really does help out the channel so much. And do subscribe if you're new around here as well. Without further ado, guys, let's have a look at the Double Game Week 37 fixtures. So here are the fixtures for Game Week 37, guys. Well, the fixtures of the teams that have doubles. Anyway, I can't believe I'm saying Game Week 37, by the way, guys. It seems like we are so close to the end of the season now, and Game Week 36 hasn't even finished, but we move. But yeah, we've got 5 teams with a double this week, and I'm definitely not saying that you should only have players from these teams, but it is probably going to be useful to try and pick up maybe 1 or 2 double Game Week players for this Game Week. But certainly, there's a lot of good teams and a lot of good players with single Game Weeks that I think will do just as well. But here are the double game week teams. We've got Aston Villa, who play Crystal Palace and Burnley. We've got Burnley, who play Tottenham and Aston Villa, both of those games away. We've got Crystal Palace against Aston Villa and Everton, both away. Everton against Brentford and Crystal Palace, both at home. And we've got Leicester, who play both Watford and Chelsea, both of those games away. So interestingly, all of these teams either play both of their games away or both of their games at home. There's no one with 1 home game, 1 away game. So I don't know if that's worth considering. But let's change the order, as we often like to do it in these videos, to try and get something that reflects a little bit better the order of the fixture difficulty of the pairs of fixtures. And this is how I would rank the teams. I would say Aston Villa have the best fixtures, Crystal Palace and Burnley, both games at home, and I've got Everton with Brentford and Crystal Palace, again, both of their games at home. Those are the 2 teams I think have significantly better fixtures than the others. You can say that Crystal Palace have okay fixtures, but certainly you look at the Burnley fixtures, for example. I know maybe some of you guys still have Burnley players left over from a long time ago when Burnley had their double game weeks previously. But if you actually look at their double game weeks, it's kind of against Tottenham away and against Aston Villa away. I mean, Aston Villa already just battered them, didn't they? So, yeah, I'm not really sure how I feel about that one, to be honest. Leicester obviously have got Chelsea in their double as well, so maybe you could say that's kind of difficult. But at the same time, maybe some of Chelsea's recent results make you think, actually, maybe that's not such a bad fixture for Leicester after all. But I would certainly say, guys, that I wouldn't feel any massive pressure going into Game Week 37 unless you already have the players. I wouldn't feel any massive pressure to go for Burnley players, Leicester players, maybe even Crystal Palace players, but certainly Aston Villa and Everton if you're not already loaded up on those players. And you probably should be a little bit invested in Aston Villa and Everton by now, but I think there is scope for going in a little bit further and maybe picking up 1 extra Aston Villa or Everton player, just because those 2 pairs of fixtures are really quite nice actually, and they're both at home. They're both what you would call green fixtures or easy fixtures. So yeah, I do really like the look of Aston Villa and Everton for this game week. So guys, again, as usual, we are going to be splitting up our players that we'll talk about today into 3 categories: essential players, optional players, and punty players. So yeah, depending on what category a player falls in, it kind of depends on how much I really recommend the player, or maybe they're just players who kind of could be okay, but there's certainly no massive pressure to get them. Essential players being the players that there is quite a lot of pressure to maybe go for some of these players. Now, because there is no big teams playing in this game, we've got no Liverpools, we've got no Man Cities, Arsenals, or Spurs, or Chelsea's, or anyone like that, I have been a little bit generous on my essential ranking. So even though I'm calling players essential, don't take that too literally. It doesn't mean you absolutely must have them. It just means that it would probably be pretty good to have them. It'd probably be a good idea to have them, and I think they're going to be really popular. It doesn't necessarily mean you absolutely must drop everything in your entire life and ensure you have these players, but it just means that they're just really good players to have for this game week, in my personal opinion. So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there before people say, you can't be seriously telling me this player is essential. Yeah, of course, not literally, but you know, unless there's a Salah or a Trent Alexander-Arnold with a double, it's pretty much difficult to call anyone essential, right? But there we go, guys. That's the categories we're going to be splitting players into. Let's go through the teams and identify the best players from each. So we'll start you off with Aston Villa, the team I believe have the best fixtures, Palace and Burnley there. I would say there's one essential player, or one player that I just think is really, really good for this double game week, and that is Matty Cash. I mean, with the Burnley fixture, for example, Aston Villa just played Burnley away, and it looked like they were going to keep a clean sheet right until the last minute, until Cornet kind of betrays us all and wipes out that clean sheet. If it wasn't for that, Matty Cash would be leaving that game with a clean sheet. So, yeah, certainly I would think Burnley at home is definitely a game where Aston Villa are more than capable of keeping a clean sheet there. You'd have to say that's true because, you know, Burnley are one of those teams that are easy to keep a clean sheet against, typically speaking. Palace at home, I think, is a pretty good opportunity for a clean sheet as well. So, in terms of defenders, I think we are pretty good to go on the Aston Villa front. I think these are two games that both have possibility for clean sheets. We also know about Matty Cash's attacking nous as well. He can get some attacking contributions as well. We kind of saw with Luca Digne, who has trolled us and come back in and got attacking returns. And Lucas Digne actually got an attacking return in that last game because, you know, there is a little bit of possibility for these fullbacks to get some attacking returns. Usually it has been Cash, to be fair, but Digne is obviously a player who can possibly get attacking returns as well, which is why he's on that list. So those are the two defenders I'd go for. I think there is maybe a little bit of concern that there may be rotation in some areas of the pitch, which is why I haven't really got too many essential players from Aston Villa. You know, Aston Villa have nothing to play for, remember. This is the second to last game week in game week 37. This will be their second to last and third to last games. They're probably going to be comfortably mid-table, probably won't be able to move up or down very much at all. It might start rotating, resting and trying out some different things and trying out some young players as well, potentially. By this point, we've kind of already seen it with Coutinho, haven't we? And some people say he was rotated. Some people have said, you know, he's actually been dropped because he's just not been playing very well, which I think is kind of possibly true, which is why Coutinho has to go down as a punt. I've got Ramsey down as a punt as well because although it looks that he is possibly going to be back for this Palace game, it's difficult to say for 100% sure. So Ramsey, based on his injury status, I think is a punt. If he was fit and available, and we knew Ramsey was available, he'd probably actually be quite a nice pick. But we don't know for 100% sure if he's going to be ready for that Palace at home game. It's looking positive, but it's not looking 100%, right? We've got Watkins, who is pretty much nailed on. You know, he's one of the few attackers, I would say, in this Aston Villa team right now that is nailed on. I know you guys are probably, based on last game, you're probably thinking Buendia, you're probably thinking Danny Ings, but these players have been rotated so much that it's very difficult to say that they are going to be playing. And if Danny Ings is playing, if Buendia is playing, if other players are playing, you know, other players coming back to fitness, for example, if all of these players are playing, someone's got to drop out. Are you saying Coutinho is going to drop out? Possibly. Are you saying Watkins is going to drop out? Less likely, but possibly. Ramsey, is he going to drop out? Well, he might have to through injury. So it's going to be possibly a lot of rotation here, which is why I'd be more tempted to go for the more nailed on players. And to me, the most nailed on players who also have a good FPL potential are Cash and Watkins. You can maybe consider Martinez in goal, but he's a little bit expensive, I think. So maybe not just because of that price, and making a goalkeeper transfer is never ideal either. But yeah, certainly Cash and Watkins look like really good picks for Game Week 37. On to Everton. Obviously, Richarlison is the big man up front. You know, he's the primary goal threat at Everton at the moment. He's shown that for a few weeks now. He's on penalties as well. He grabbed an assist at the weekend, which is all good. So another goal return there for Richarlison. So he's doing really well. So yeah, if we had to say a player from Everton was essential, and I know it's very difficult to say a player from Everton is essential. So like I say, please don't take this literally. But Richarlison would be the top pick, wouldn't he? For Everton, he would be a really good pick for this double game week. Brentford at home, Palace at home. These are two reasonably good fixtures. I know Brentford have played quite well recently. If it was an away game against Brentford, we'd maybe call that a grey fixture. But a home game, we know that Everton typically do play a little bit better at home as well. So that's probably going to be pretty good. And Palace at home, you know, Palace are pretty much down tools, but possibly, you know, stuck in the mid-table. We never really know what's going to happen with Palace at the moment. It's kind of all over the place with them. But, you know, that's just because we're at the end of the season now, and they've had a very good season in fairness. So Yeah, Everton was so much to play for. I think it's a lot easier to pick from them because I don't think they're going to rotate as much. Really, they can't really afford to rotate at all. You know, they've got, well, as I make this video, they've got 4 games left to save themselves from relegation, and it's going pretty well so far. It's very much in their hands, but they are going to have to win games, and they're definitely not going to want to leave it to the last game week either. So they are going to go full strength every game they possibly can, barring injuries. It's going to be full strength. They kind of have to run their players into the ground, which is good for us FPL players because it allows us to more accurately predict who is going to be playing. So all of these players on this list, with the exception of Holgate, I would say are pretty nailed on right now. Now the players you see on this list are actually the exact same 5 players that I wrote down for before game week 36 started in the video I made about the best double game week players for game week 36. So it's the same 5 players that are still the best players for game week 37. So my opinion hasn't changed. I'll tell you what has changed though, that both Mykolenko and Holgate both got goals, which is just mad really. So guys, I don't know if any of you guys watched that game week 36 double game week video and if it inspired you to go for a Mykolenko or a Holgate, but both of them getting goal returns was really interesting when I saw that. And I kind of thought when particularly with the Mykolenko thing, I thought, you know what, I actually quite like the look of Mykolenko as a bit of a punt. Maybe I should have gone through with that myself rather than just advising other people to do it. But I mean, my job really here is to give you guys the best advice possible rather than, it's not all about me doing well myself. It's also about giving you guys the best advice possible. So I'm kind of glad those 2 came off. But yeah, let's go again with them. Why not? Mykolenko looks like a great pick at the moment because he's playing quite an attacking way. Certainly Everton, now that Yerry Mina is back, I think that is looking pretty good, although didn't he go off again? So I don't know what the injury situation with Mina. Maybe someone in the comments, an Everton fan, can give me an update on that one. But yeah, I think certainly at home as well. I think with more players back as well for Everton, I think this is going to be a good opportunity for potential clean sheets, and then we know about the attacking potential as well. So that's why you want to go for a Mykolenko or a Pickford or a Holgate there. A Holgate with a slight rotation risk, but obviously he's so cheap it doesn't really matter. Gordon, not got goal returns so far in game week 36, but there's still time, and he is so cheap that you can't really go wrong with that one as well. So I like Everton to pick from a lot. I like Everton. I know the fixtures are not quite as good as Aston Villa's fixtures, but I do prefer Everton as a team to pick from. But just as a warning, guys, the game week 38 game for Everton is against Arsenal, and I should have said about Aston Villa as well. Their game week 38 game is against Man City. So both Aston Villa and Everton both have difficult fixtures in 38, so it might be that you're bringing in these players and then going to have to either bench them or remove them immediately in game week 38 because they've got not very good fixtures in game week 38. So just a warning, but even more reason to suggest that Everton will go full strength in 37 because they're not going to be able to rely on getting points against Arsenal in 38 anyway. But there we go, that's Everton for you. There's some great picks to pick from, even though they're the same picks that I said you could pick from last week. And there's Pickford as well there for you. Next team, I think. Okay, Crystal Palace is pretty much punt city other than Zaha. Zaha is the one pick that I actually really, really like from Crystal Palace. My brother actually has Zaha in his team. He brought him in a couple of weeks ago, and I've been kind of jealous of the fact that he does have Zaha, who seems to keep getting returns, which I'm not totally surprised by. It is Zaha. He's a great player. We've also heard about Zaha potentially playing as a striker. I think now is a really good time to go in for Zaha. He'd be probably one of the first players I'd consider buying this game week. If I wanted to get a midfielder this game week, Zaha would probably be the player to go for this game week. And he's got Manchester United in game week 38 as well. With Manchester United, the way things are going for them at the moment, I think Zaha against Manchester United is definitely a player you would want to start and play there as well. So he'd be good not just for this double game week, but also for next game week as well. So definitely probably the first player on my wish list, to be honest, in terms of a player who I think would be good for multiple game weeks anyway. I don't necessarily think he'll do the best this game week, but over 2 game weeks I think he could be pretty good. Aside from that though, like I say, it really is a case of punts. Gallagher, I know, is a very popular player, but statistically speaking, and when you watch him as well, he is nowhere near doing the same amount of attacking actions as he was earlier on in the season. He's not going to, we can't rely on Gallagher so much in terms of getting attacking returns. So although he is, typically a good pick from Crystal Palace, I don't know if right now he's shown enough to prove that he's going to do that this game week. You know, in recent game weeks are anything to go by, he hasn't done enough to suggest that he's going to get a particularly large amount of goal returns in this double game week. So if you feel like he might get back to what he was doing before a little bit, then fair enough. If you think he might score a free kick or something like that, or get in the right place at the right time like he was doing earlier on in the season, then fine. But if you're going for an attacker from Crystal Palace, everyone is so rotation risk. Mateta, Edouard, Benteke, Ayew, Elise, Eze, whoever, they are going to be super rotation risk other than Zaha, who really is first choice, and potentially Zaha even playing as striker, as Vieira's kind of said that Zaha could be playing as a striker as well, so something that is worth noting there. Aside from that, we've got some defenders there: Anderson, Guehi, Klein, because he's so cheap, might be worth going for. These players are pretty nailed on, so you could go for them, but it depends how much you trust the Crystal Palace defence in these two fixtures. I'm not sure I'd be 100% convinced about clean sheets from Palace, to be honest. But you never know, and there could potentially be attacking returns. I think Guehi actually has taken a few shots recently, particularly from those set pieces and stuff. He looks pretty good in that regard, better than Anderson. But Anderson and Klein have got a little bit of creativity that they've shown. Not very much really, but a little bit at least, so you never know, they could be on for the occasional assist. Guehi looks like the slightly better goal threat in terms of defenders though, so there we go. Those are some Crystal Palace players. It's pretty much Zaha or go for a random punt though, basically. Okay, Leicester, the rotation for Leicester is still killing us. They've got Watford away, Chelsea away. You would maybe think that they'll start rotating less now that we know they're out of the Europa Conference League, but I don't know. I don't know how much they're going to rotate. I think they're just such a risky team to be buying into at the moment. If you already have these players, then fair enough. Schmeichel, though, is really the only player who you would be confident is going to start both of these games. Everyone else is just rotating so much at the moment. It is so hard to predict. You guys will probably be kind of screaming at the screen. What about Vardy? What about Daka? What about Iheanacho? Definitely would not be touching any of those. Those guys will rotate at the best of times. Maybe you could consider Maddison or Dewsbury Hall or Fofana. I would say out of their starting players, their main players who also are okay for FPL. These are the players who I would say are most nailed on. Again, out of the players who are good for FPL, these would be the players I would say are most nailed on of the outfield players. Maddison, Dewsbury Hall and Fofana. But Schmeichel's pretty good to go. But, I would say that actually at this point, maybe Pickford is a player I would prefer to go for rather than Schmeichel, because Pickford has a much better double game week than Schmeichel. So, maybe we go for a Pickford over Schmeichel. But I'm sure most of you guys either have a Pickford or a Schmeichel by now already. So in which case, just play whoever you've got. If not, maybe you can consider Schmeichel if that's what you fancy. And finally, Burnley players are kind of in the region of don't buy, don't sell. But, arguably, I would consider selling these players. I know it's a double game week, but Spurs away, Villa away, these are players that are not getting too many FPL points anyway. Cornet is back from injury now, so maybe he could be worth a punt, to be honest. It wouldn't be an FPL Mate video if I didn't hype up Cornet whilst talking about Burnley, to be honest. So I kind of do feel like I have to do that. But, I'm very, very consistent in my belief that Cornet is by far Burnley's best player, so much so that I don't really understand why he is at Burnley. So, if I'm going to go for a Burnley player in a double game week, even if it is a bad double game week, it would have to be Cornet, I would say. I put Brownhill down there as well just because he's so cheap. I put Weghorst on there as well because there's not really many options for forwards anyway, and Weghorst is getting a little bit on the cheaper side as well. So, if you're just going for a cheaper player, Weghorst, Brownhill, Cornet, they're options. Maybe if you're on a free hit right now, these could be players to go for, but overall, would I be moving the earth to bring any Burnley players in for Game Week 37? Probably not. Alright, let's wrap this up by picking my favourite players for the Game Week 37, the players who double. This is just out of the players who double anyway. So Richarlison I like the most. We've got Matty Cash there who I really like as well. Zaha, like I say, I was a big fan of him, and I think for the longer term, for a 2-game week punt rather than a 1-game week punt, say you're not on a free hit, you're just using your regular transfers, Zaha would be a player I would definitely be considering going for. If you are on a free hit, Richarlison and Cash are players I would really like to go for. Maybe Watkins as well. But yeah, like I say, Watkins is there, Pickford, Gordon, Mikalenko and Schmeichel is there at the bottom. So if you are going for goalkeeper, I do think I prefer Pickford this game week. If you're going for a defender, Matty Cash looks really good, Mikalenko looks really good. If I'm on a free hit, potentially I'm going for both Cash and Mikalenko. But like I say, do not just pick from double game week teams. There's so many good players, good teams with good fixtures outside of the doubling team. So don't get too focused on these double game week players. I think if you can have 4 of these double game week players, I think that's honestly going to be enough. I mean, maybe 5 at a push. You know, I think 3 would probably be okay as well. I don't think you need loads and loads and loads of double game week players really at all for this game week. You could just get away with a couple, but if I had to pick a couple, I would pick them from this list. That's all I'm going to say on that one. And that is the end of the video, guys. Hopefully this has really helped you out, whether you are on a free hit and you're looking for loads of double game week players, whether you're just using your transfers, you kind of want to see who are the better picks right now. Hopefully we've included all of the best double game week picks in this video today. If you think I'm missing anyone or you want to get my opinion on any other double game week player for 37, please do let me know. Leave a comment and I will try and answer as many as I can. And you know, I know it's just my opinion, but maybe my opinion or you know, me kind of talking about the player in the comments might help you out a little bit as well. You know, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, if you did enjoy this video, if you found it helpful, please do leave a like. Like I say, massively helps out the channel when you guys like the video. And do subscribe as well if you're new around here and you love FPL and you love FPL content and you want more of it on your screens. Hopefully I can deliver that for you pretty much every single day. So there we go, guys. That is it. Lots of content to come this game week. I mean, the next game week doesn't start until Sunday, so we've got plenty of days to put up plenty of content. Let me know if you want anything in particular. And yeah, I'll see you later, mates. Bye-bye.